Bro, I'm a fail.
Like I did a sculpture of my, not my cat, but a cat. And then somebody said I really captured their pose. And I was like, thank you. Like it could be like the smallest thing. Which is why I encourage all of you, just go out there and compliment somebody, you know? I do it all the time. I like your shirt. Cool hair, dude, you know? Because then hopefully that makes their day a little bit better. You never know. Someone out there remembers you for being nice to them on a bad day. Yeah, our brother's dead. Sorry. I'm breaking news to you this way. But it's okay. Hey. If you need anything, okay? I'll be here for you, okay? We're gonna get through this, alright? Whatever you need, babe. Whatever you need. He looked pretty dead, yeah. The guy was purple, okay? It's okay. You need a shoulder to cry on. Mine's always open.
Did you kill that Rico?
Really?
Oh shit. Yeah. Like this. Rebecca!
Rebecca, no!
Chris, I have something to show you. Now, walk.
It was only 2 days from retirement. Don't touch me. Oh, fuck. What? Don't look at me. Don't look at me.
You hear me now? Oh shit, look, the mic's moving now. Hell yeah.
Saw nothing.
Oh, that's
Meant to
annoying.
do that.
I'm glad I caught that now. Alright, well let's go forward with this. Yeah. We're getting 60 frames in this motherfucker. Oh. Hi world. Are you there, God? Me, Joey. See. I should really stop napping after work, man. Now I'm like still groggy, and I'm just like, oh, I'm not prepared. Bumblebee. I like this. Look how smooth this is coming in on your end. Yeah, because like the 18th time, this is a game that's been infamously locked at 30 frames. And I couldn't get the mods. So like apparently there's like actual mods to get this running at a respectable fucking frame rate, but it wouldn't work for me. So I cheated and I used lossless scaling, which isn't the perfect solution, but it is a damn good one. Especially for older shit like this. I kind of want to see... Like, I kind of want to use it for emulation too. Like if I play like a PS2 game on stream or something that's not actual hardware, or, you know, trying to get that crisp output. But then again, there's some charm to the jank, you know? Alright, I want to shoot shit. Let's go. Is it escape? What's the problem? I don't have to watch this every time, do I? What? You can't skip this? Fuck. Bumblebee. Press every button on the keyboard. Oh, not that one. I didn't know this wasn't skippable. I made a dope cutscene either way. Ah. One shall goon, one shall edge. Why can't I skip this? That's funny because I always watch it, but I never noticed I had to. I like to skip this bitch. All right. Continue. Yeah. We go. All right. And this time we got Soundwave and Breakdown still? Wait. No, I finished this chapter. I'll play Megatron. I want to play Soundwave's so cool though. I just hate how he kind of. I wonder if I could swap that out. Whatever. It's okay. You know? I'll see if I can because I don't like repairing these guys is useless. Also, why is Soundwave the healer? That makes no sense to me. But it nerfs me because I can't get 2 weapons. I have 1 weapon I can pick up. Unless I can just say fuck you and get rid of the energy barrier heal. I don't know what they call it. It don't even matter. I thought I could skip these. These are the HD textures too. Like not actually, I'm gonna look it up if there's a mod for HD, like actual HD textures. If there is, I'll take the oh shit, a couple minutes to get rid of it. Ooh, nice, that works. Let me see. Warforce, Cybertron, HD texture mod. What up, Cash Cow? I was trying to see if there's an actual like mod because like in the settings, these are the HD textures. These are kind of ugly. I just wanted to see if there was an option. So maybe if not today, then maybe next time. Is all character? No, not character. Need Warforce Cybertron High Res Mod 2.0 texture mod. I'll try it and hopefully it doesn't break anything next time. Watching the movie, these timelines, bro. Wait, what movie? Oh, saw 10. I like it. I heard it was good, man. No spoilers. No spoilers, no hints. Woo! Happy birthday. Happy birthday, bro. I am the real Super Sand. How you doing, man? Thanks, Brew. No problem, dude. So yeah, I'm gonna see just because I like Soundwave. He's cool. He turns into a boombox, but like I don't like having a useless weapon. The repair bay, because these guys are immortal because they're AI characters right now. Because this game did have I don't know if it still does, but like couch co-op or just co-op in general. Let me see. Can I swap it? I can. I was tripping for nothing. Okay, cool. Yeah, Skybox is pretty cool. What are you up to, Woo? It's the Woo coming through. You got the touch. You got the power. Oh shit. Do I actually run? I guess I do. No game sound? Oh. When did that happen? Oh, I must have hit this by accident. Thanks for telling me. Thanks, dude. No, I don't want to quit. I'm going to resume. Thank you. That was actually... Did me a solid there. Got you, fam. Hell yeah, brother.
We can't fight this
What do I do?
We've got to get out of here.
Fine.
Stand your ground, Decepticons.
Oh, they want me to fight him, so I guess I will. Oh, okay. Okay. Fuck you, Omega Supreme. He's a bitch. Bye. Oh, he just
That did it all right.
despawned.
But there goes your Omega key.
We can salvage the wreckage for what we need.
How's the movie though? I heard it was good. I haven't seen it yet though.
Destroy. Fall back.
Looks pretty solid.
Inside, quickly.
If I fall back, fine. What the fuck do you want? Anyway, all hail
Return to the
Megatron.
door. It's no use, Megatron. The door's locked.
Suggestion. Use Dark Energon to open the door.
An excellent idea, Soundwave.
This is why I should be playing as Megatron. I wanna do it. I get you right now. What is this? No, I don't like the border that much, but now I'm out of ammo. Maybe I should.
Now what? How are we gonna beat this guy, Megatron?
Excuse me.
To the center. My scanners detected iron cannons through the top of the chasm wall.
I see. We'll lure a Mega Supreme up there and use the Autobot guns against him.
Alright.
I don't like it. It's too quiet. Why the ceasefire?
What do I do?
To arms!
Okay. Yeah. Die, Autobots! Fuck you, motherfucker! Wrong neighborhood. Pew pew. Exactly. You played this before, right? This feels like a learning game. Oh, I don't have any grenades. Dang. I have not? Oh, shit. Well, it's been delisted, but, you know, it's one of those games where they made their money. I think I own it. Good, good. Yeah, it's one of those things where I think the license lapsed,
Decepticons who fight for
and
the
that,
glory
along with
of
everything Activision had
Cybertron.
apparently. No more Marvel from them, no more Transformers.
I, Starscream, have taken my rightful place as your leader. Starscream, you half-wit.
Starscream, you
Still
rat
function.
bastard.
A fact you shall regret when I choke the life out of you. Now, I order you to deploy ships for immediate evacuation.
Starscream cannot
I'm gonna deploy these nuts to your chin.
All communication to the surface has been jammed.
Let's head for that lift before that idiot
These.
Starscream causes
Okay.
irreparable harm.
Reparable. Move, bitch! Get out the way.
Here he comes.
Keep moving, Decepticon. We need to reach that lift.
Oh, that's giving me a clue. Yeah, I've got a
I think we should follow a.
Mine's pointing to the left. Oh, Frank, seriously? I have such a raging clue right now? I think we better follow
Will
it.
provide passage to the surface.
Thank you for the redeem. Godspeed.
What's wrong with this thing? Why can't we get it to move?
Is locked down.
A simple solution then. Break the locks. Starscream, come in.
There's the locks. I thought we were gonna fall, actually.
There's too much interference. We must move higher to relay your signal.
Can this feeble Autobot mechanism not move any faster? It appears we've lost that dull-witted brute.
Having a good night, though.
Omega Supreme.
Hanging with,
Not stood a chance against my intellect.
trying to think of a nickname. Brittany?
What?
Your boo bear?
Target reacquired. Weapons engaging. Wow, he looks really angry.
How's, everybody knows it's Butter but Joey. Oh, everyone knows it's Joey! That's me!
Target identification.
I can do that.
Megatron, Decepticon leader. Recommendation.
I can do that.
Complete termination.
You
Write that down, write that
think
down.
you can destroy me,
You say
Omega
she.
Supreme?
I go
You
she,
think
nigga
you
she.
can destroy Megatron?
What do I do? Do I just wait?
Do your worst.
Alright, Megatron, that was pretty hard. That was pretty cool. He said, do it, bitch! Wait, I just killed the locks, though. This doesn't make sense.
We're still alive. What happened?
Open fire on the emergency locks! Destroy them!
Okay.
Megatron.
That Everyone knows it's buttery.
Crazy? If we go out there, he'll melt us into scrap.
Would you rather face his wrath or mine? Now jump!
Honestly, Megatron, look at him. Boom! Oh shit! Fuck off! What? Oh. Pop it off. And then also got a shot. Yeah. Alright, we're good. We're Gucci. We out here. Here's. You didn't see that.
You're still functional. Thank you.
Raid? Nikki? Thank you so much for the raid, Nikki.
Located.
I didn't even know you're alive. Shit. Thank you, Nikki. Here, you know what that gets you? Get you a motherfucking shout out. Thank you. How's your night going? I was streaming. Oh, are you playing Marvel Rivals? Hell yeah. Hell yeah, brother.
This about, okay. Are you gonna leave, Chad? I don't care about your blind date.
Thank you for the raid. Anybody potentially new here? My name is Shattered Limit. You can call me Shat or Joey. It's fine. I'm a variety streamer, but I have an emphasis on Resident Evil. Right now, I should be playing Resident Evil, but I started playing Transformers War for Cybertron, so you gotta deal with it. If you want, it's okay if you don't. But hi, welcome in everybody. Were you winning, Nikki? Were you catching them W's? Keep shooting? Oh. Okay, I was gonna die. Proud of you. I'm proud of you.
Right on our tails. There's gotta be some way to shake him.
Brixie, what to do?
Perhaps we can avoid Omega's
You know what?
trapping.
Brixie gets a fucking shout out too. There you go. I really need to work on my setup. I have to like over here to get my keyboard and shit. Plans at Fortnite with cars is Fortnite. I haven't seen you play that in a minute. Good. No, we had bad teammates. Aw, oh, damn it. Sorry, I didn't know you guys were on. Well, took a nap today, so maybe that's why I just missed it. Yeah, the win button was tired. You played today? You played Fortnite today?
Systems. Fortified Autobot precision. Located straight ahead.
Good shit. Well, what are you up to now?
Scanners now.
How are things? I hope all is well.
Should be undetected.
It went into four directions and made the two healers couldn't heal in 4 places. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I love Governor. What up, Angel? That's the thing. Like, people are like, where the fuck are my heals? Where are my fucking heals? It's like, first of all, I'm getting fisted by Moon Knight over here. Where's my DPS? Where's my tank? Where are you when I need you? Also, if you break line of sight, you're fucked. You know, I'm not a teleporter. Speaking of, they should add like Nightcrawler or something. That'd be fucking dope. What up, Angel? Shout out. Girl X. Oh. Everybody, these are wonderful people. Brixie, the other half of Dead Wolf. But she, you know, she's great. She plays spooky games. She plays Legend of Dragoon, and she plays Marvel Rivals, Fortnite. And you know what? Nikki does too. Nikki is just a bundle of positive energy. She's very fun to hang and play with. And the funny thing about those two is that every time there's a Brixie clip, Nikki's in there. And every time there's a Nikki clip, Brixie's there. And then we got homegirl Angel over here. Why don't you give her a follow? She's fairly new at streaming, but also kind of a fucking natural. Plays lots of spooky games, Dead Rising, Silent Hill 2. That was lost on me. And I don't know, are you gonna stream any VR? You've become a little VR nut lately. But also just because some of the best commentary. She's funny. Everybody just check out Angel. Angel, Brix, and Nikki. If you don't, fuck you. No, I'm just kidding.
Coordinating with Omega Supreme, trying to locate us.
I'm gonna replace this with a minigun. Oh, actually, wait. This is a heavy.
They want, along with a painful death.
How's your night going, Angel? Are you still doing heists and shit? Those sound fun. I remember when they announced them, I was like, that looks dope, actually, but I just never did. What are you guys aiming at? You fucking morons, Megatron. You okay, dude? What are you? Don't worry, guys, I got it. I can't crash this too much to stream VR chat, otherwise I would. Dang. Sorry to hear that. Well, either way, I'm looking forward to your next, I keep saying Resident Evil, Silent Hill stream. Those have been fun. Take that, you son of a bitch. Whoa, 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 whoa! Where'd that come from? Oh, we got flyers.
My disappointment is immeasurable.
First. Oh shit, Paul.
And my day is ruined.
Oh, you were first? Why didn't you say anything, buddy? Well, welcome in. Congrats on being first. I hope you're having a great night, Paul. Yeah, I'm still thinking about that Chucky burn you gave me the other day. That shit was funny. Yesterday. Because I put on Cult of Chucky today. And the marathon's concluded. I was thinking about it. What are you up to, my guy? Have you played this game before? The disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined. Jay said he already used that Chucky burn. It rings no bell. Sorry, multitasking, but appreciate the shout. Oh, no problem. Do your thing. I assume everybody lurks. I don't think anybody ever gives, like, sits there and watches my stream. If they do, shit, cool. Hell yeah. When are you streaming again? Yeah, Angel, when are you streaming again? Wait, what? Gracie! Aw. You didn't have to do that, but thank you. You got 2 raids? Thank you. Double raid, hell yeah. That gets you another shout out. I realize I haven't been doing these. So I have to make up for lost time and give everybody like 2 shout outs. Welcome in, Raiders. We need to work on this still. How you doing, friends? I'm doing all right. I suck at shout outs. Yeah, I'm trying to get better at it because I got so addicted to doing cookout. I brought the napkins. You brought napkins? Shit, thanks, man. I want to stream on Saturday, but now I gotta get my hair done. Oh, it's okay. Get your hair did. Get your hair did. Hi, Passion Fruit. Hi, the Right Brain Podcast. That's a good name. Oh my god, I missed my orange hair. Whatever color your hair is, it always looks great, so just have comfort in that, you know? Girl, your hair... I don't know. What do girls say? But yeah. Welcome in, Raiders. My name's Shattered Limit. You can call me Shat. Everybody kind of does now. Or Joey, that's fine too. It's my real name. I'm a variety streamer. I mostly play Resident Evil, but I've been slacking. Question of the day. What's your favorite Transformer? Don't want to bring food because I'm Caucasian. Hey, you know, that's okay. That's okay. The cookout is multicultural. You're fine. Multiracial. You're not disqualified. It's on a per food basis. If it's disgusting, we'll see if you're invited to the next cookout. We'll see. But you have a chance, okay? We don't do that here. Step is mean, don't listen to her. Oh wait, what did Step say? Seppuku said I should watch and she scared me, so I'm here. Oh, she scares you? Rat Trap. Rat Trap's a solid choice. That's pretty base choice, man. Step is mean, don't listen to her. Step's funny though. You saying you should watch my stream? You should. You know what? She's right there. She's correct about that. You should be watching my stream. But no worries, no pressure if not. It's all good. I'm here for the lulz mostly. I hope everybody's having a great night. Oh yeah. I kind of wish I was playing Megatron just so I could do that shit faster. Step is lit. What's your favorite Transformer? My favorite Transformer is Jazz. At least for like, you know, like the G1 era. Anything after that, probably Raptor's a good choice. I'm a little jealous. As far as Beast Wars goes, I liked him. I liked Black Arachnia and Rhinobot. But follow passion fruit. Thank you. Okay, I'm safe. Should I be transformed? I think I should. Thank you for the follow. Chat, it is self-care time. I'll be lurking. Well, thank you for the lurk. Enjoy your self-care. I appreciate you. You was kind. You was important. Wait, no. You was smart. You was kind, and you was important. I forgot the order, but you get what I'm. You pick it up what I'm putting down. You got it. Enjoy your night. This is IRL friends passion. Oh yeah. We know each other. Oh shit, I'm gonna die. Oh, perfect. Yes, ma'am. Oh wait, really? That's cool. Yeah.
The last one didn't work out so well.
Do not
You know,
my patience
you know
is at a
Deadwolf?
critical low.
For Boo? He's my best friend. We all saw Alien Romulus. I think that's the last time we hung out. No, me and her work together. Oh shit, nice. Co-workers. Yups. Hell yeah. The cuties. Yay, passion. Well, welcome in everybody. I hope you enjoy the show. This game came out in what, like 2009? And it fucks. But I haven't played it since like 2015, I want to say. Something like that.
Spare me your theatrics. I need
Alright, now I go lurks. I saw a cute kitty. Wait, my cute kitty? Deadwolf! Hold on. I'm gonna give you a shout out too. Everybody, follow Deadwolf if you haven't already. Plays lots of dope RPGs, Marvel Rivals. He's kind of all over the place. Fortnite, Pokemans. He's a good dude. What up, my? Say it. Yeah, commit. No, I was kidding. Monster Hunter Wild's coming soon. I heard it ran like shit, so I kind of want to get the demo or something. Is the beta still around? And see if it just runs. But I saw a character I fell in love with. What's her name? Elma? That one. I want that one. How you doing, Deadwolf?
New targets.
What's up, Cash Cow? Beta done? Ah. Dang. Either way, I'll check it out. Because I already had like legit like performance issues, but I haven't played Monster Hunter since World, and it was awesome. Miss you. We all miss you, Deadwolf.
Target the repair sentries, or we'll never destroy these Autobots.
I was just saying, I think I'm the only one that still invites you to things. How you been, dude? You playing anything tonight? Or are you just chillaxing now? Miss you too. Do you have a TV in the living room? Or would you be willing to come over for a movie night? I'll even let you pick the day. He's a dumb. New Juju Child. Oh, that's a classic one.
Come on!
Oh shit, wrong button. Oh, I don't have any grenades. Fucker. I ain't nothing to do this right. Forever. you saw those business cards too. Shit, don't you? This work? I'll just cheat. Trevor. No, I like the one I liked was the Devil Fight. You still have that video? How old were you in that video? Like, you were 4, right? Like, how old are you 4. What's your name? Bambified. I was like, it's so fucking cute. I'm scared. I'm like, it's like that dude from Saving Private Ryan, the one like hiding behind the fucking rock, the beach of Normandy. He's just like, That's me. Fighting for my fucking life here. Gotta see my kids. Oh shit. Oh, stasis lock imminent. Oh shit. God damn. Please die, 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 please die. Ah, he died. Oh yeah. I think he jumped to kill. Oh shit. I think he still has the cards. He's I don't see him getting rid of that or running out of him. He got him. I'd bet money on it. This music reminds me of Beast Wars. Yeah, I'm having a pretty chill night. That nap after work is much needed. I liked it. I might have one. Dang, you should like laminate it or frame it. You saw the files? You can make more. Oh wait. Oh no, I can't do that.
There's Omega again.
Opti-Prime! It's Opti-Prime!
Omega found us again. Can't go that way. What do we do now?
That killed me? Oh.
Let's get off this road and out of the open. We will find
Well,
another
Absol.
way.
It's Absol.
Bow in the presence of...
A dead end. Megatron, we're trapped.
Soundwave, you led us to this place. What is your explanation?
Soundwave, you son of a bitch. We're running for our lives. Explain.
You heard him. Blast the wall.
I think it's funny how every Decepticon is like, ah, you know? Like, none of them are just like soft-spoken or nothing. Like, there's no Bumblebee for the fucking Decepticons, it seems. They're all just like, Hail Megatron! Ah! You think one of them would be like, hey guys! Heal the Autobots! I can explode. Okay. Boom! Got him. Got him. Oh shit. Just reach. I can do it. Spray and pray. Spray and pray. Oh, fuck. Why don't you guys lift a fucking finger and help me out? I don't have any ranged weapons like that. Oh, nice. Oh, there's a sniper. Yeah. I'll swap out the scatter blast. Sure. Ooh.
Someone call for the best?
Excuse me.
Look out! Sentries above us!
I can't aim that high.
Keep those grenades to yourself!
Oh shit! They're not gonna be in Fall Cybertron.
That power conduit? No way! The energon flows off the charts. We'll be fried.
Get moving, Breakdown.
Don't be a bitch, breakdown.
Grenade! Take cover!
Carried out.
Move out of the tube!
I feel like there's something extra in there. There's gotta be. I heard somebody die. Oh shit! No! Okay. Use your dark energy on, fucker. Right? Is that what you gotta do? What do I gotta do? Oh. Nothing.
Move out of the tube or you'll get fried!
Shut up. Oh wait, that is hurting me. Fuck. I was fine. I know there's some energy left behind, but it's okay. I'll be fine. Okay. Gimme, 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 gimme. Is it way working on set? No, I think I'm cool with the minigun. Secret. Yeah, nice. There's a bunch of weapons I don't want.
Let all who oppose me be destroyed.
Oh, I see you fucking bastards. Saw 10 is wild. I don't. Did you finish it? Or are you just like in the middle and you're like, yeah, fuck up. Yeah, I've heard several people like say it's the best one since like the original even. I'm like, that's pretty high praise. One of my favorite things about the Saw franchise was in 4, when they did the thing that I hate and kind of love at the same time. To make Jigsaw look younger, they put like a terrible wig on him and like a ball cap, and you're like, boom, it's 40 now. I'll give you the cheese rating when you see it. Okay, is the cheese rating a spoiler, or do you need to let it cook a little bit? You could tell me now. I still need to see Saw 3. Not Saw 3, Venom 3. Ah! Fucker. Oh shit. No, 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 no. Okay, I think I saw... There's gotta be some energy on somewhere. You guys got this, right? I'll be right back. Slight spoiler, but I also don't remember what was in the trailer. I remember what looks like a tube sucking somebody's eyes out or something. That's actually all I remember. The trailer was one of those things where honestly I think every trailer should be like this, where it's all hype, no real plot, you know? It's like, it's Saw, I know what I'm getting myself into. I don't need to... Oh shit. Alright, yeah, I'll wait until I see it, and then you can tell me.
Keep those grenades to yourself!
I could have sworn there was more energon somewhere. Oh, it's right there. Back in business. Here come the boom. That's what we do. Boom! I hate them. Alright, Alright, let's do it. Expanding bridge. Oh, look at that.
The bridge is extended. We now have access to the other side.
Finally!
Wait, so did you finish the movie?
Decepticons, move
Finished it?
quickly. We must reach those guns.
Ah. Oh, let me get that armor. And a weapon. Stop wasting your ammo. Yeah. Honestly, I think this is the best lineup. Little. Oh, the battle pistol is actually great. Let me switch to that for a minute, just because it's fun.
There's Omega Supreme! Watch out!
Why did you do that? You fuck. I wish I could just phase through these assholes, but so they get in the fucking way.
Is Omega still out there?
Ah!
Did we lose him?
Stop! Yeah, that's what you get, cunt. Ah.
Guess not.
So we're down.
We're not gonna make it!
We're gonna make it.
We'll reach the other side, or I'll have your head.
Ah! Okay. Bam, 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 bam.
We made it. I can't believe it. We made it. Yes, Breakdown. Your constant whining saw us through.
Megatron, the second cargo elevator is nearby. It will take
Oh, I
us
thought that would work.
to the
How do I get in there?
ion turrets.
Perfect. We shall ascend, and Omega Supreme will follow to his destruction.
Oh. Gotti. I think these are the good ones.
To be used in Megatron's
Yeah, I don't like the stun ones. I need stuff that goes boom, boom. Yeah. Guess you're useless. We're gonna turn the cars to go fucking just around the corner.
More cloaked Autobots! Destroy them! Shoot anything that moves!
Fuck them up! I'm moving. Stand still, let me kill you. Got it.
Need to recharge!
Yeah, me too. You need a good nap. I mean, fucked him up. What'd you hit him with? Autobots, we're supposed to have the creepy ones.
Tough, didn't you?
want Transformers 1 again.
Autobot weaklings, onward to the lift!
Want to at least get to the Autobots campaign tonight. I have this, and I think one more Decepticon chapter. I feel like these are roughly half an hour.
A few dozen meters above us. We're
Maybe a little longer than that, like 45
Status
minutes.
report!
The Autobots are counterattacking! Retreat! Decepticons, retreat!
Relay that order! Decepticons, this is Megatron!
The
Anyone
ladies
caught
knew
leading
it.
this battle will be marked kill on sight! Press your attack immediately!
Attack! But Megatron!
Especially you, Starscream! I order you to continue the assault! Megatron out!
Yeah, I think
We've reached the ion turrets!
Fall of Cybertron looks better.
Omega
It
Supreme.
plays better. You can switch shoulders, which is game changing. And then see all the little knickknacks on my back? I think those keep moving and like doing cool shit
Seekers are getting shredded.
in the next one.
The Autobots and
Actually, yeah,
take
it's
those
just moving. They're moving. Wild Dino.
Feeling good?
What kind of gun is that? Scattered? No, that's fine. That good? I thought that rubble that fell on him killed him. Yeah, I thought it was scripted or something. Oh wait, didn't I just fucking kill you? I guess not. Alright, you know what? I'm gonna go to the left side, or right side, just because, as previously mentioned, you can't switch shoulders in here, so I'm gonna just try to utilize cover. See? Like that, see? Optimus Primal ain't got shit on me! Oh shit. I had him. Got him. Holy shit, this got a little tense. Thanks, Megatron. I think I've ever heard you give a compliment before.
Megatron.
It means a lot.
Analysis indicates the firepower of those turrets is sufficient to damage Omega Supreme.
I see some ammo.
Speaking of Omega Supreme!
Fuck.
Precisely as I had planned. Decepticons, man the turrets and blast that obsolete
Hey.
Hulk out of the sky!
Hi, BB. Hi, Audi. Good lurking. I hope you're having fun. I am having fun. Thank you.
Decepticons.
Where's Lemon? Where's that bitch? He likes this game too. Should I move? Probably. Yep. Sorry. Yeah, I think it's my first combat death though. That's just me being a fucking idiot. Alright, hold on.
Cybertron analysis indicates the firepower of those turrets is sufficient to damage Omega Supreme.
Thank you for the lurk.
Speaking of Omega Supreme, precisely as
We
I
should
had
get one of the
planned,
big boys.
Decepticons, man the turrets and blast that obsolete Hulk out of the sky!
Targets reacquired. Attack commencing. Decepticons, prepare for destruction.
Oh shit, it's phasing through! It's phasing through! Oh no! Boom! Aiming for anything in particular?
Activated.
That's not enough. I don't think it's enough. He's got a shield now. Break down, move, do something. That was like a real boss fight over here.
Attack Decepticons! We defeat Omega Supreme here, or we die trying!
Omega Supreme's main weapon batteries are charging! Prepare for evasive action!
You're doing this right. I think I'm doing damage. Oh, there's a third turret.
Homing rockets, take cover!
Oh shit.
According to my calculations, our chances of defeating Omega Supreme are very low.
I think I'm doing it. I'm doing it, Happy.
Megatron, Omega Supreme's armor has been breached.
Focus fire! Fuck them up! Oh,
Omega
whoa, whoa,
Supreme has
whoa, whoa,
deployed aerial
whoa, whoa.
bots. Shoot them down!
Scrap Maker? That's a good name.
Target reacquired. Weapons engaging.
Keep firing, Decepticons! The turrets are wearing down Omega Supreme's defenses!
Powering up his primary living weapon.
Oh! Oh, Megatron, you bitch! Give it back. Give my toy back. What's hitting me? God damn aerobots.
Vulture, we are being tracked by multiple explosive projectiles.
There we are. This is a little chaotic. Get in! Am I gonna die? Yep. Oh! Did we get him? did. Tight. Focus fire! Got him.
Omega flees like a coward. Now, let's finish the job.
Yes! Mega Supreme is now so easily dispatched. He alone stands in the way of Megatron's ultimate victory. Time has come to prove the Decepticons' true might. The glory, all hail Megatron! Dang, this is actually a shorter one. Oh, go back. But they're bigger squares. Does that mean they're bigger sections? Well, of course, now I have to play as Megatron. Oh, that's another thing. I keep not using any of these fuckers' abilities. His ability to hover in air and increases weapon damage. How do I do that one? What's the ability to... I'll check the controls inside. If I get in the game.
The great Omega Supreme is vulnerable. Megatron and his Decepticons must press their attack if they hope to overcome the Guardian of Iacon and force him to unlock the gateway to Cybertron's core.
You think he survived all that?
As long as there is enough left to open the Omega Gate, I care not.
Megatron? I don't think that's gonna be a problem.
Power cells drained. Initiate energy recovery subroutine. Sensors indicate that those batteries are the source of Omega Supreme's rejuvenation. Scanning. Decepticon intruders. Weapons engaging.
Weapons engaging? I thought we had this guy beat!
Danger.
I thought so too.
Aboard Omega Supreme's tractor beam.
Been on it.
Before he recharges it.
Our weapons aren't doing anything to him!
Noticed.
Scans indicate that Omega Supreme's defensive barrier does not extend to his turrets, recommend targeting them immediately.
Reload! Reloading!
Warning. Vulnerability in select subsystems.
A battery full of energon just came up out of the floor. Is that normal?
Omega Supreme appears to be using the batteries to repair his turrets.
Decepticons, we must move quickly. Use Dark Energon on the core battery.
Take that, you bastard.
Detected. System corruption. Action. Release counter-virus.
Look at that! The corruption's hurting him!
Fuck him up!
Omega Supreme is vulnerable at last. Decepticons, attack!
Oh shit.
Armor weakened. Systems recalibrated. Situation suboptimal.
What is this? What is it? What is it? What is it?
There's
Transform.
another battery!
What are you waiting for? Use the Dark Energon on it.
Hold on, dude. Alright. No! Fuck! Alright, I didn't realize it was timed. That makes sense. Well... miss it. Where's the next energon battery?
Damage critical.
Good.
Iacon threatened. Battle unfinished.
Ah! He's regenerating again! We've got to stop him!
On. Where is it? Aha. Try 3. Let me know if this looks like shit for you guys, but I actually kind of like the 90 frames. Given I'm getting more fake frames than real ones now, but... Hello, Governor. Hello, Angel. How you doing?
Detected.
I really like this
System
game.
corruption. Action. Release counter virus.
This is great! The Dark Energon is breaking down his armor!
Now, while the Dark Energon has
Kill him, kill him, kill him, kill him, kill him. Stop reloading, kill him.
system,
Got him. I'm lurking and playing Marvel Rivals. Nice. Nice, nice. That's such a fun game.
I, Megatron, have defeated
Well, I hope you're
Omega
enjoying your
Supreme.
night. Sounds like you are.
All hail Megatron!
Systems corrupted. Power level 49%.
Why
Repair
don't you just
initiated.
die already?
What do we do now?
Megatron, be advised. Omega's engineering is exposed as it still functions.
Watch out for those rockets!
No, I'm gonna go hug them.
Protecting his chest.
How are we supposed to get through that armor plating?
Stop whining and start shooting, breakdown.
Immediate surrender required. Access.
He's drawing energy from Cybertron's core. What amazing
That's
power.
cheating.
I must have it for myself.
I thought you said his power was drained! He's got even more now than he did to begin with!
It makes no difference. Not even Omega Supreme can stop me now.
Okay, okay, okay. I'm running out of energon cubes to pick up. Oh shit. No, motherfucker! Okay, I need ammo. Scrafty escaped. Oh, jeez. Oh, shit. What's this do? Oh, shit. We'll get in there. Can I shoot through this? He can I? Oh shit. Fuckers! They're always in the way. That's like half my fault, but that's mostly theirs. Got him.
Failing. Situation
Bye, Omega.
Shield is down. Use the Dark Energon to corrupt them.
I know what to do, Soundwave. Be silent or face my wrath.
You are a real one.
Systems failing. Corruption.
Let's use the ad for you.
Yes! The Autobots' most powerful weapon and the key to the core of Cybertron are mine! The universe shall hear my name and tremble!
Omega Supreme has fallen, corrupted by the influence of Dark Energon. Triumphant, Megatron forces the Guardian to open the Omega Gate and lead the Decepticons to the core of Cybertron itself.
Oh shit, I have Twix. I have Twix in the fridge.
At last, the core of Cybertron is mine! Are the corruptors in place?
Get it?
Yes, Lord Megatron.
Then let it begin!
Did you ever do that? You're like, oh wait. I think, oh dude, I have ice cream bars. I can Phantom Tax.
Glorious new age is upon us, my brethren.
Phantom Tax?
With Dark Energon
Was that
infused into the core,
can Phantom Tax?
Cybertron is mine to command!
Is this a term I need to Google? The music really does remind me of Beast Wars. The youngin' slang term. Oh, they got you. You've been infected. Phantom Tax? Phantom Tax is internet slang that refers to stealing food from friends. Originally from the American streamer Phantom, who would jokingly take bites of food from other content creators during his streams. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's new to me. I actually do think I just finished their campaign, which is great. I'm adjusting my windows again. Campaign reward. Well done, Decepticon. You have served Megatron well. Yes! Slipstream is now unlocked for escalation and multiplayer. Well, multiplayer's dead. Servers are down. I'm learning all the slang. These... Is that supposed to be right now? These YN got me. Youngins. Okay. Dang, dude. Sorry. I'm trying here. I'm trying. Alright. And it's time for... Oh, wait. Am I done? Oh, yeah, I finished it. So now we're Autobots. Opti Prime! Bumblebee and Ratchet. I love that you're not infected. I don't know, man. I was pretty fucking obsessed with the period for a minute there. I'll play Opti Prime.
Iacon, the capital city of the Autobots, is crumbling under the onslaught of Megatron and his Decepticons.
Oh, the boy
Rumors
version
have
type
spread
shit.
the
Oh,
defeat
type
of
shit.
Omega
Yeah,
Supreme
that's right.
And Autobot leader Zeta Prime. If the Autobots have any hope to band
I was
together,
right. Can you
and
send that
repel
again?
the
I forgot
enemy,
about that one. There was a whole
new
video,
hero
right?
must emerge.
I'll look it up. I forgot who it was, but it was just a nice little rant. Bumblebee! Oh, I'll have to go dig it down. No worries, no worries. I remember. Happy to look at this and tell me you don't like Transformers. Bumblebee is the only one I love in Transformers. It's funny, Bumblebee is one of my least favorite of the movies. I like the action in it and the intro, but the rest of the movie is just E.T. with a robot, and it pissed me off.
You shouldn't be out here alone.
Coming off of more like there's like war crimes that happen in like the Michael Bay movies.
The only secure way to communicate is by messenger.
They kill Wheeljack executioner style.
Ratchet.
Execution style, and I was like, damn, dude, that's pretty rough. And they push Bumblebee into his corpse right before they try to kill him. I was like, this movie's going hard.
I have important information for him.
I am Optimus.
You're... Sir, it pains me to tell you this.
Fucking
but our
Michael
leader,
Bay.
Zeta Prime,
Yeah, I was saying earlier in last stream, like the things that I like about those movies are the reasons why people don't like them for the most part. Because even I don't like Last Night. Age of Extinction kind of did suck. Even though I like the John Goodman robot. Hound, he was fucking awesome. But yeah, one. I guess the set pieces in 2, but then the second half of 3, that's some of the best Transformers we ever got. It's just violence. It's literally like that one is basically Saving Private Ryan with fucking robots, and I love it. I've booked some Michael Bay movies, but I haven't seen them all. I mean, I like Bad Boys. Bad Boys is good.
Is determined. I'll give him that.
The Rock.
He needs to see Iacon destroyed,
Armageddon.
not destroyed, Ratchet.
I don't want to close my eyes.
He knows we are at our weakest.
I don't want to fall asleep.
Megatron can take the city over my twisted lifeless shell.
We'd prefer no further loss of life, Bumblebee.
Focus on the task at hand, Autobots.
What else did Michael Bay do? Oh, he made Pain and Gain. Underrated movie.
Autobots on this frequency. This is Jetfire. Come in.
Jetfire, this is Optimus.
You know what's up.
You're still airborne. What's your status?
We're taking heavy
He also made The Rock, which I
Need
said.
him to activate the planetary guns.
He produced a lot of movies, though. Jumping in around. Okay, well, have fun. Good luck. Hope you win.
I have assumed temporary command, Jetfire. Let the rest of your flight squadrons know. And don't worry.
Yeah, Jetfire's an Autobot now.
Temporary command.
All right, I'm gonna go get the ice cream bar. I'm fat. We're back. So I was at Albertsons, right? Doing my rounds, and I saw that they had Phantom Text. I'll save you one, but maybe there's only one left. And my favorite ice cream, well, one of them at least, is the Haagen-Dazs Dulce de Leche. And I saw that they have fucking like bars. And I was like, period.
Not now, Ratchet. Jetfire needs those guns online.
Square Optimus! Heads up! That warship's coming in pretty hot! Take cover!
I'm coming, friends.
Over there! Get them!
Autobots, engage the enemy.
Bumblebee, stop lubricating the man. Remember that? Remember that? Remember that? That was a good line.
Don't let up, Autobots.
The one thing I do kind of like about those last two was just how fed up with humans Optimus was by like the 4th movie. Like he starts off in like the original one being like, freedom is the right of all sentient beings. The humans must not pay for our mistakes, like, you know, stuff like that. And by the end, he's like, I'll kill you. Give me your face. It's like, Jesus Christ, dude. Oh, Daddy, chill.
I'll shut him up!
interplanetary guns. Activate them now.
Really fucking good.
Yeah! Take that, Decepticons!
This is far from over, Bumblebee.
Pretty sure that person
skies
missed.
might be clear, but our ground forces are in disarray.
Optimus, if we can get the communication grid back online, we'll be able to coordinate our defenses.
The communication grid is in the Decagon. If we get there in time, we've got a chance.
Look out!
Every second counts. Let's move.
Not bad for a temporary command, Optimus. You're better at this than you give yourself credit for.
The High Council of Elders will choose the next prime. I'm merely a stand-in until that choice is made.
Hey guys, they're already down. I guess we could keep them as prisoners, but, you know, execute them, that's fine. War crimes don't exist in space, silly. Yeah, hold on.
Definitely make a statement.
Give me a second!
Back here, coward.
Thank Primus you're here!
Damn, bro.
You're gonna...
Rip and die. I really need ammo.
Less cost. The automated repair systems are still functioning.
Here we go.
At least. That's a good sign.
Hell yeah.
Autobots, onto the lift.
Hold on. On the bots. I'm finishing my ice cream. I'm fat. Alright. Worth it. Alright. Oh shit, okay.
Move quickly.
Optimus, I'm
You
picking
got
up a
the
concentration of electrotetronic anomalies close by.
Move back! What is that thing, Ratchet?
I'm reading a massive surge of...
Get out of there now!
Oh no.
There was nothing we could do, Bumblebee.
Time to hoof it.
Weapon ready to fire. Less Decepticon to worry about. Watch out! Rerouting power to weapon systems.
Bro, what the fuck was that?
Optimus, this is Jetfire. Do you copy? You got a squadron of Decepticon Seekers headed your way. I couldn't stop them all.
Roger that.
Cybertron!
Locked and loaded.
Didn't mean to do that!
Got him. Is that it? Oh.
Optimus, inbound Decepticon Seekers. I think you can take them out with the gun emplacements.
Yep.
Understood, Jetfire.
On it.
Autobots, man the turrets.
Scratch one Decepticon!
Interfacing. This is technically right.
That's showing them! Take that!
He's not gonna interface with your chin.
Look out! That's a Decepticon warship. Focus fire on that ship, Autobots.
Oh shit. Oh shit. Okay. Is this overheating? Huh? I guess I should need just the one. See, it's set pieces like that that make me wish I didn't kill the guys on the bridge. Because then it would have been a lot cooler to just have that thing wipe them out.
Air Raid and I have control of the skies now.
Thanks, Jetfire. We need to get to the Decagon fast. The
Decagon.
Iacon Speedway's still drivable.
From the sky, they look barely usable, but you can try. Good luck, Optimus. With Zeta Prime gone, we're all looking to you now.
I'll do my best. Autobots, roll out.
Oh, cool, I timed it. I'm easily impressed. Fuck off, Bumblebee. I almost wish I could like just repel them to where I couldn't collide with them. Oh, okay, okay. I was like, did I go the wrong way? You got the touch. You got the power. I tried to zoom in because my accuracy sucks. Hey, I got the good loadout. Alright. Alright, let me get a running start.
Ready to roll.
Autobot signatures detected.
Oh!
Eastern Access Highway.
Oh no! Was that Soundwave? Optimus! That was Soundwave!
It was Soundwave. Very distinct voice.
Activate thermal detonation probes. Target Iacon Highway.
Oh shit. Idiots.
Damage report. Is anyone hurt?
Nothing you can't fix.
Bumblebee, it wouldn't kill you to exercise caution.
I mean, the thing blew up. It wasn't really his fault. I think he's all dead. I always like how just, you know, like Autobot number 2, you know, like just the basic bitch ones look. They always have like those face plates sometimes because they want to animate their lips. Oh.
Heads up, Autobots.
Nice. It's like when Vin Diesel dies in Saving Private Ryan. Take this ladder. How did you guys get over there?
We've got to get back to the speedway.
Where's all this sniper fire coming from? I don't see anybody.
Watch your head!
What? Fucking fuck. Oops. So I know it looked like I single jumped because I did, but I did press it. I thought it was one of those games where it's like you could jump once, delay it all you want, and then double jump again. That's what I tried doing. I tried to maximize it, you know? No pun intended. There you go, see?
There's the exit!
That. Bitch, don't shoot me. I was kind of close there. It would kill me to not take cover, you know? Oh shit, Ratchet, I forgot you could do that. Thanks, buddy. Well, I'm not done. Get back here.
You may rejoice, citizens of Iacon. Your new ruler, Megatron, has arrived. No longer will you be plagued by the burdens of freedom and choice. Henceforth, my will is the only guidance you shall require. Embrace the Decepticon way and reap its rewards, or resist and face destruction.
All right. I wish he had like the cassettes, you know, like Ravage and Laserbeak and shit.
Spectral missiles away!
Rumble. No grenades. Oh shit! Oh what? Dude, no! I wasn't ready. Ratchet! Oh. Any more of them heals? Oh. Oh, Lottie coming. Got him. Thanks, Ratchet. It took you long enough. You bastard.
There's a huge faction of Decepticons massing
there are
outside
grenades
the
right here.
Decagon's main gate.
Take out as many as you can.
Why can't I pick them
I
up?
need a pathway cleared.
Understood. And Optimus, glad to see you finally stepped up.
Just doing what needs to be done, Ironhide.
Yeah, well, just try not to get us all shot to pieces in the process. Old friend of yours?
Stop talking so I can pick this up.
Cranky.
And it's gone.
More ammo. Perfect.
Hey everybody. The 2007 Transformers movie is almost 20. Feel old yet? Because I do. I was in high school. Yeah, this button. Sorry, I just had a little mini existential crisis.
Megatron has somehow found a way to weaponize Dark Energon.
Dark Energon?
Dark Energon is the source of these crystals. I've read the stories, but to see it for real.
Dark Energon? I thought that was the stuff of legend.
Oh shit. Dude, that thing nasty.
Decepticon war machine.
It's the world engine from Man of Steel.
Dark Energon.
Is it that what it looked like?
Shoot its lights out.
Does this do more damage? I forget. Shit, a little bit, yeah. Yeah, Joey, stick to the other one. Don't worry, guys, I got it. I wouldn't necessarily call it the chest, but yeah, I got you. Got it, fam. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Pick up that. Oh, no, I'm good. I guess this works. I mean, I feel like there's probably a more optimal method to do this, but... Jesus. Don't touch me. Got me.
Shoot its lights out.
Thank you for the follow. Oh, Xavier Cole, thank you for the follow. Are you a Transformers fan? Where's your night going? You didn't see me die just now, did you? I hope you are well. Yeah, I did, and I'm good. Oh. Long time you're good. I haven't played it in forever. I usually play Resident Evil and shit, but I don't know. I wanted to mix it up. Because last week I kind of overworked, personally, and it's kind of cozy, you know? Oh shit, I'm on ammo. Where's the... There's more ammo somewhere. There it is. You have a favorite Transformer? Fucking Ratchet, you're gonna kill me. Yeah, my biggest complaint about this game, it's a good game, but too often my partners get in my fucking way. I'm a big Transformers fan. Nice. I think I'm a pretty big one too. I started with Beast Wars and I kind of watched everything since. And then when the movie was coming out, I got into G1. Because that was back when YouTube was cool. You can have an entire fucking series on there and nobody would give a shit. So that's how I watched it. I need ammo! Fuck off! Fuck off! Stop it! Oh no, not again! No! Alright, alright. I'm gonna stay away from that fucking car form. I'm sorry.
Shoot it,
You didn't see that. Pro gamer here. Assuming you played Transformers Devastation. I started this game yesterday. I've already gotten several requests to stream that one, so I'll add it to my list. Also, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of liked the movie game, the one for Dark of the Moon. Don't get caught in that bullshit again.
Aim for the tap! Aim for the tap!
Like, no! Not like this. Not like this. I do need that one. Cube. Oh shit. I'll come back to the next one. I got a system now. We're good. Oh, be careful. Yeah. Thank you for the follow again, Xavier. Okay. All right. I'm serious. I'm serious now. That was it. I'm locked in, all right? I downloaded the code. Well, I hope you have some fun. I gotta get some sleep. I should be getting some sleep too. But thank you for stopping by. Thank you for the follow. I like that emote, and I hope you have a great rest of your night. Good night, sweet Xavier. not beat this. Oh shit. Damn, that actually fucked me up a bit. There it is. No, 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 no. Okay. Oh, that was Starmer. I'm good. Maybe I'm making this harder on myself.
Aim for the chest! Aim for the chest!
There's the ammo. Uh-oh. Okay, got it. Left or right, okay. Got him. Got him. Bitch.
Oh, yeah! We got it down now! Bring on the rest of them!
That's the spirit, Bumblebee. Autobots, to the Decagon.
Attaboy, Bumblebee. Oh shit. Okay, alright. Note to self, don't do that again.
I can fight better. It's working. Taking out the source makes the roots retract. Now Iacon can start repairing itself. Remember, Autobots. Blast the spikes, but never touch them.
Yeah,
Transform
found that out the hard way.
and roll out.
This seems pretty when it has a respectable frame rate. Oh shit, motherfuckers. How dare you! Hold on, I have to scratch my forehead. I'm gonna get the fuck out of my way. Are you still alive? All I can think of right now is Mark Wahlberg doing, well, first of all, now I mentioned, I forgot he was in these movies with, I'm an inventor. But I was thinking about, what's the porn movie? Fucking, Boogie Nights. And he's like, you got the touch. You got the power. Is that Boogie Nights or was that Rockstar? Forget. But hopefully you know what I'm talking about. You gonna open?
Let's do this. One less Decepticon to worry about. Weapon system up.
Hold on. I'll deal with you in a second. Let me try it. Let me try it.
We may need this.
Anorith. I don't even know what that one is.
Just down another one. Nice work.
Seems kind of hype.
Oh, great! The speedway is out!
Got it. Cool.
Ironhide, what's your status?
Ironhide.
Still working on clearing that path for you, Optimus. These Decepticons are really stubborn. Be advised, I've got some defenders near your position, engaging some Decepticon war machines.
Well, to be fair, there's 2 shots. I missed the first one. Oh!
Not even good for spare parts. Weapons to us!
Oh, I'm out.
Watch out!
Oh, I tried to throw a grenade. See, I wish I could rebind my controls, but no! Fuck. I do. Fucking die already? Fuck! No, 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 no. Wait. Y'all got any of that sweet energon hiding somewhere?
Take that, Decepticon punk.
Wait, machine gun turret?
To require repairs.
Yeah, Ratchet. You wanna get your head out of your ass and heal me? Medic.
Nice shooting, partner. Multiple gunshot wounds definitely make a statement.
Yeah, tell me about it. I have a full
Let's rock and roll.
Fucking fuck. Where are my heals, Ratchet? Where are my fucking heals, Ratchet? What hit me? What is this? Where they at? Go.
Weapon cycle beginning.
We get up there. How do? Oh. Anything special up here? Any secrets? Oh, just death. No, Ratchet. I want to hit the button.
It's open. Let's go.
Oh, no, let's not roll out. It's another one of those thingies. Dang.
We've got another Decepticon war machine dead ahead.
Autobots, take it down.
Fuck it up.
Aim for the chest. Aim for the chest.
That might be a waste. That's okay. Start meleeing you. Come on. I didn't want to have to do this because I don't like this gun. Actually, it's alright. Die. Thank you. Alright, we're gonna get some. Oh, there's everything over there.
Thanks, Optimus.
Welcome.
We appreciate the help.
I got you, fam. It ain't a thing but a chicken wing. Fucking. Better than nothing. I hate how I have to reload in every form and every weapon I have. I mean, the weapons I get, that's fine, but even my form, my car form has to reload.
Are really giving it all they've got here, aren't they?
That they are. All Autobot communications funnel through the Decagon hub. It's the lifeline to the entire city.
All the more reason to reach it quickly.
Damn it! This fucking wall thing is in the way. Shit. do that again. Because I wasted my ammo. This looks cool. It's like you see the Energon cubes in like the cartoon, and it do look like this, you know. But now it's like, no. Something about this art style. It's like, yeah, G1, but gritty. It's back when everything was getting a gritty reboot.
We're going to have to ride the turbines to reach the other side.
Sounds like fun.
You know, I'm not gonna lie, I thought I was gonna fall right there. I'm so scared. I almost died.
I, Megatron, have destroyed your unworthy leader, Zeta Prime. Now, you have the privilege of experiencing my rule. I shall not be denied. Citizens of Iacon, I, Megatron, have destroyed your unworthy leader, Zeta Prime. Now,
Zeta, no. Hey, I'm jumping here. Revive, I'm coming! Hold on! Oh no! We lost another one. Till all are one. Look over here. Hey, you missed melee. Wait. Oh, I thought that was it.
Lock and load. Taking back the
Roll out.
Decagon won't be easy.
Oh shit! Oh! Is it gonna open or are we gonna crash into it? Sweet.
Optimus, your path is clear. I'll move on and flank the Decepticons in the northern sector.
You have my thanks.
Where you at? There you are. Oh yeah. He is red. I thought he was black again, like he was in the movie. I can take my health. Oh, I didn't even need it. I'm tired of stepping on enemy friendlies. Oh shit.
Right behind you, Doc.
Oh my.
Good way to it. Reinforcements inbound. Take cover.
Cute. Oh, nice. Good shit, Ironheart. Hey! It's like what happens in my Transformers 1. I almost said -1. Damn, dude, you fucking... Not strong.
Like this all day.
I'm gonna make you stand here all day. Oh. Bye, Ironheart. Love you. I mourned your death in 3.
The communication grid is located at the top of the decagon. We need to find a lift up.
You've got the schematics, Ratchet. Lead the way.
Neutralize their energon cores! Give me a second!
I don't know if there's any ammo or anything in here. Oh, there is. Sweet.
Very good.
Tight.
The elevator's wrecked. We'll need to find another way up.
Right there, guys.
This will help a great deal.
Is this still chapter 1? This is a big ass chapter. Why is he frozen? Not that I'm fighting. No.
Wow, this place is unbelievable.
There. That's the main terminal for the communication grid. We can reactivate it by aligning the data streams. I think. Theory, anyway.
Oh, I see what you're saying. No. My bad. I see what you're saying.
The streams have to align with the sockets.
Don't yell at me. Happy?
Good job. The grid is back online. Let's get to the broadcast room up top so we can reconnect Iacon's defenses.
What is this? Elevator?
The elevator's busted. How do we get up there?
We could ride the Energon shell capacitors instead. Might take a little longer, but it should work.
Let's do it.
Whoa.
Then we can strike back at the
Flying.
Decepticons in full force.
I don't think I can go through there. Can I? Nope. Oh, a little bit. I feel like I'm doing this wrong. Oh, fuck. Okay. I didn't need you. I knew that. Bitch. You kill me right now, I need to wait. Come on, please.
and ready to roll.
Decepticons closing fast.
Let me in!
One less Decepticon to worry about. Nice work! Pulling weapons!
Need to cool off.
Multiple gunshot wounds definitely make us. It's kind of fun to shoot those things, isn't it?
Yeah. Got him. Transformers is cool. I wish the movies were like, make the Transformers movies great again, you know? Rise of the Beast was pretty cool, but no, I don't think anything beats that first one. Well, Transformers 1 is pretty damn good now I think about it, but nobody saw it. I'm gonna look it up and see if the sequel's still planned.
The service lift is over there. Move! Over there! Fire! Time to hook it.
Bitch ass Decepticon.
Out of energy!
Let me get the fuck out of my way. Oh, the red one. Will be missed. Shit.
According to the schematics, the broadcast control room will be at the top of the lift.
Perfect. Then we can get back to the fight outside, right?
That's affirmative, Bumblebee.
Optimus, be advised. Starscream is headed your way. We tried to stop them, but Silverbolt and I sustained heavy damage.
Get clear, Jetfire. You've done more than enough already. Autobots, exercise caution. Starscream is as dangerous as he is treacherous.
Just give me a clear shot.
Let's see, what is this one? No, I don't really like that much. I think I'm cool with these two. Battle Pistol and Ion Blaster. Oh shit.
To restore your precious grid.
Hey, he did the Starscream thing. That was the movie he did in the movie.
You have committed crimes against Iacon, Starscream. It's time to pay for that.
Time to fucking die.
Is it? Prepare to die.
Autobots, stay close.
Where'd he go? There he is.
Star Scream!
Stop zooming in, Joey. You don't need to every time. Oh shit. Starscream, your color scheme. We've been all MCU'd. Look at these gorgeous 720 cutscenes.
Promise!
Run, you yellow-plated coward!
Good work, Autobots. Now, let's coordinate the city's defenses.
To anyone receiving this broadcast, this is Zeta Prime. I am being held captive in Megatron's Kaon prison complex.
Prime is alive? Ratchet, home in on that signal and boost it. On it!
I am downloading vital information that could help the Autobots win the war. Hurry, Autobots. I don't know how much longer I have.
Optimus, let's go! We have to save Zeta Prime!
That wasn't Zeta Prime, Optimus. It couldn't be.
The message carried his unique data signature, Ratchet.
Perhaps, but we both saw the wreckage of what Megatron did to him. No one could survive that.
Even if there is the smallest possibility that Zeta is alive, we must act.
Optimus,
Cool.
it's a trap.
I
Sure,
think everybody
you
kind of
see
just looks
that.
dope here.
A chance we'll have to take. Hang on, Zeta, my friend. I have a plan.
The long ass chapter. All right. Well, I am tired. So here's what's gonna happen. Step into my office. Because I find it. Oh, wait. Does this one work? Is this one still broken? Yep. We'll pretend. Pretend it's full screen. I'll fix it next time. I kind of forgot this was an issue. You know what? No. Exceptional. Another office. Hello. So let us see who the fuck is online still. Let's just raid out, you know? Let's see, we got Vanity playing Marvel Rivals. We got Skyday just chatting. Not pregnant. Woo. Also, wait, what? Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. Well, congrats. Oh yeah, we got Jade playing Elden Ring. A bloody is asking for your Goo Goo Kaga. Let's read out Jade. Everybody, thank you for sticking around, hanging out, lurking. You know, all lurks matter. I love you guys. It's almost Thursday, my dudes. Hope all of you are having a great night. What the hell? Sorry, I'm looking at I think Muffin rated out to somebody. I'm watching a video he's playing. It's tripping me the fuck out right now. But we're gonna raid Jade Infinite. She's really cool. I briefly saw one of her streams yesterday. Her Bow Souls rated out. So we out here. Everybody, have a good one. Raid Infinite. And I hope you know, do the thing. Do the thing. Go do the thing you wanted to do. You know, what's stopping? Go talk to that one person. Go start that one project. You know, do something cool. You'll thank yourself for it. All right, good night.